Hey everybody, Jeff Stone here with day 64 of the year 2015 at magicreviewed.com. I'm getting pretty good at saying that mouthful at the beginning of every video. Today we're looking at Total Recall by Manuel Llasser or Llasser. I'm going to go with Llasser because it's got the double L there, like tortilla. Anywho, before we get into the DVD, I'm just going to tell you right now, you're going to have to do some yoga and meditation before, during, and after watching this DVD. Man, I feel like I'm going to explode right now. Now, don't let that scare you off. I still gave it 4.5 stars, no status of gem. We'll talk about why I feel like I'm going to explode in a minute. Let's just give you the basic rundown of what's happening here. Total Recall, Manuel Llasser. The idea is this: borrowed deck, shuffled deck. Truly borrowed, truly shuffled. No deck switches, none of that stuff. You take the borrowed shuffled deck, you spread it out on the table, and you claim that in about 35 to 40 seconds, or as the ad trailer said, 38 inches, little translation error there, 38 seconds is probably what they meant. 38 seconds, you're going to memorize the entire deck of cards. So you look at it, spread it face up, look at it, then you spend 38 seconds-ish memorizing it, and then you're done. Then you prove to them that you've memorized it. How do you prove it? Several different effects. Here's one of the effects you do. You spread it face down, tell them to take out a card, and from, say, near the bottom of the deck, and then replace it, and they're going to replace it at the top part of the deck, somewhere in the top half. The idea being that you'll be able to spread through the cards and notice which card is missing from the bottom half and which card is extra in the top half because you've memorized the deck. That's not an old effect. And his method isn't even original for that particular one, I think. But there's some modifications here and there. And by the way, none of the stuff he's doing is necessarily original. It's combinations of everything into this one big routine. And he's added his own touches here and there. And he credits everything and all the way through, so it's good. Anyway, so that's the first effect you can do. Next one, name a number between 1 and 52. They say, 21. And you immediately go, yeah, that's the 4 diamonds or whatever. You count down 21 cards, and bam, it's 4 diamonds. Then you square up the cards again, and you say, name a number between 5 and 10. And let's say they say 7. Sorry, I was having a stroke there. That's the number you're hoping that they name. It's the free selection, number between 5 and 10. And they say 7, and you go, great, 3, 12, 19, and 46. And they're like, what? And you go, yeah, the third card's a 7, the 12th card's a 7, the 19th card's a 7, and the 46th card's a 7. Sure enough, you count down, and bam, that's where all the 7s are. Here, cut to the deck somewhere in the middle. Look at the card. Tell me what card you saw. 8 of clubs. Oh, 8 of clubs? Okay, so that means, because I have the deck memorized, the next card's the 5 of hearts, and the next card's the 2 of diamonds, and the next card's a queen, and the jack, and the whatever, and you name like 4 or 5 cards on each, 2 or 3 on each side of the card that they cut to. So there's effects on and on and on. There's more effects that are on there, and it's kind of, you can just add this effect or that effect to the routine, because the whole point is you're just demonstrating, you're proving that you have memorized the deck. And there's so many subtleties thrown into here, so many little tips and tricks and ideas and pointers and stuff that he throws into here that just make it seem, if people will walk away believing, knowing that you have memorized the entire deck. There's no doubt in my mind when they walk away, if you do this right, in their mind, there is no other explanation than this dude just memorized an order of a deck of cards in 40 seconds. That just seems no other possible way. But in reality, you did not even come close to doing that. In order to do this, you have to be able to memorize 4 things. Those 4 things change with every time you perform this effect. So today, you do this effect in your show, the deck shuffled, whatever, you memorize 4 things. I'm not going to tell you what they are or why they are or how they work, but just 4 things, and 4 easy things. And then you use those 4 things throughout the entire routine. And then, next week you're going to do the same trick again. You get a different borrowed deck, different shuffled deck, and you memorize 4 different things for that time that you perform it. So hopefully that makes sense. So at the end of the effect, there's lots of different tips and pointers and ideas and things that he did. There's a really cool idea that I think if I understood him correctly, which you'll know what I mean by that in a minute, but I think if I understood him correctly, he was suggesting combining this routine with a mnemonica deck. So you're using a mnemonica, pardon me, not pneumonica, mnemonica, not to be confused with the Monica Lewinsky. Anyway, but that's an old joke, sorry. In fact, there's probably people watching this that don't even know what that means at this point. Anywho, so using mnemonica or an Aronson or some other stack that you're familiar with, and so you're using 2 decks, and there's some things, some combined things you can do with that idea that just are even more impossible. So I worked on the Aronson stack for a while. I had it down for a little while, just didn't use it enough, and I lost it. I don't think I even remember one card from that stack. Well, I remember all the cards, just don't remember their order. Anyway, so leaving out the stack, just using the borrowed shuffle deck, there's so much you can do with it. And then at the end, if you want, you can give them the deck, tell them keep the deck, don't ever shuffle it. Here's my card. Call me anytime you want, 24/7. Ask me any question about the deck, and I'll tell you. You know, ask me what position the 7 hearts is in, or what card is at number 28, or whatever. Or if you want, I'll just recite the whole deck from top to bottom to you, whatever you want. So, and you can do that, and you really can. You know, 10 years from now, they call you up, and they say, hey, remember that trick you did 10 years ago, and you still have the deck? Tell me the order, and you can do it. Yeah, pretty crazy. So, now that, I should mention on that, the part where you recite the whole deck, in the ad copy, it says at the end of the trick, you can, right then and there, recite the entire deck. This is true, but there's a caveat. If you do that, you have to get up from the table. You can't just sit there and do it at the table. You have to get up from the table and like go find a corner in the room. You know, and the idea is I'm going to get so far away from the deck and to where you're clear that you know I can't see the cards, and you bury your face against the wall in a corner, and then you recite the deck to them. I'll just leave it at that. Okay. Now, obviously, this thing that you're doing that allows you to remember the deck from the distance there and recite the deck, you don't have to hide that if you're at home alone, you know, and they call you and you are going to recite the deck over the phone. So, and you don't have to do that part, obviously. And it does. There's only one little extra thing you have to do that makes that whole thing work. So, pretty clever concept overall. And again, the effect is, it's not even a magic trick. It's I can memorize a deck of cards. And you know, I once heard a story by Harry Lorraine where he said that he was doing some card tricks for some people or something like this, and then he ran out of tricks to do, but they wanted to see more. And so he had been working on memory techniques at this point, and he did what he described as, you know, this is Harry Lorraine talking, I felt I was scraping the bottom of the barrel by doing memory demonstrations. And so he was doing actual memorization things where he was really memorizing the deck and that kind of stuff. At least that's what he said. I don't know how true that is, but knowing him, it probably is. And so he does this, and he does this memory demonstration where he's reciting positions of cards and all this stuff. And he said that got the best response out of everything he did. And he said people came to him later and said, you know, those card tricks you did were great, but man, when you were memorizing the deck, that just blew my mind that that's even possible. So according to Harry Lorraine, this stuff is better than magic, you know, at least in that particular instance. And that's debatable, and I'm not sure if I agree or disagree with that statement, but I'll leave that out there for you guys to ponder and think about. That being said, if you like that kind of thing where you're going to do not a magic demonstration, but a memory demonstration where you're just going to show how good of a memory you have that you can memorize the deck of cards, then get this. It's 4.5 stars, stone status of gem. So why is my head going to explode? Well, disclaimer number 1. If you do not speak English or Spanish, there's no way you'll be able to learn this system from this DVD. You have to be able to speak one of those 2 languages. The system is simple, but it's complex. Not complicated, but complex. Very intricate, very technical. And I don't mean technical from like a sleight of hand perspective, but I mean it takes a lot of technical describing to explain it to somebody. It's like, you know, if it were written, it'd be like reading a tech manual, that kind of thing. So it's not the easiest thing to grasp I mean, I shouldn't say that. There's a lot of stuff, and it's very technical. And so it's done in Spanish, but you can learn it in English. And the way they do it in English, they have a voiceover guy who speaks Spanish natively, I think, because he has a Spanish accent as he's talking. And so you have this guy with a Spanish accent talking in English with Manuel Llasser in the background talking in Spanish, and his volume wasn't cut down low enough, so the two are kind of competing a little bit for your ears and for your attention. That was a little bit busy, but I was able to get through that for the most part. But there are a few parts where I'm like, oh my gosh, man, they need to turn that dude's volume down. It's tough. But then at some of the more technical parts, I could tell that the guy translating, there was a few things lost in translation. Now, none of it was enough for me to not be able to learn how to do the main concept and how to learn how to do the routine and everything. But I will say this, he blazes through it pretty quickly, and the voiceover guy is trying to keep up with him. And so you're probably going to have to rewind a time or two. And so it's not, I mean, he's blazing through it pretty quickly, you know. So that was okay. I mean, you can learn it, again, if you speak English or Spanish. And I didn't have a problem learning it. It was a little bit frustrating because of some of the things going on there, but overall it was fine. But then they had the interview. Now, the interview, what was cool about this interview was there were a lot of extra tips and ideas and suggestions and stuff that he added. That I think that's where he mentioned the mnemonica thing, where you could use another deck and all that. There's a lot of cool ideas that were sprinkled throughout that interview. The problem was, I don't remember the guy's name. I couldn't understand Manuel or the voiceover guy when he was pronouncing the other guy's name. But it was Manuel Llasser's friend who interviewed Manuel Llasser. So the two of them are talking to each other in Spanish. And then the voiceover guy is talking in English with a Spanish accent. And all three of them, the volume was about the same. I mean, it was like walking into a party with a room of 100 people and just all the noise and the chaos of it. And you're just like, you don't know where your ears are supposed to go. And I felt like I was going to freaking explode, man. It was, right now I'm like a little stressed out. I think my blood pressure went up a little bit. I'm telling you, it was nuts. I mean, it was insane. Whew, man. So I sat through that. It was like a half an hour or something like that. And about like 20 minutes in, I was ready to turn it off. I'm like, I can't watch this anymore. I just cannot do this. But I'm like, for you guys and girls, I'm doing this for you. That's right. I felt like I was going to explode. And then oddly enough, or funny enough, or coincidentally enough, as I just finished watching the DVD, and I was writing the review. During the review, Weird Al's song popped up, which is a parody of Eminem's "Lose Yourself," and it's all a song about how TV rots your brain. And there's a line in there where he says that he wants to take the programmers and sit them down and make them watch all that crap till their head explodes like scanners. And if you don't know what that reference is, man, I'm really getting old. But if you do know, there was that scene in that movie Scanners back in like the 80s where the dude's head just exploded. Anyway, just funny that came up after I felt like my head was going to explode. So I sat through the whole 30 minutes, even though I wanted to turn it off. And by the end, I was ready to punch something. But there were some cool ideas in there. And if you can just filter through and sift through the information and pull out that dude, the voiceover guy's voice, and tune out everything else. And which, by the way, that's harder to do than you might think because he was playing the voice for both guys. And sometimes I'm like, which guy are you voiceovering for right now? Because they're both talking right now, and you're just switching back and forth, and it just sounded like he was saying a rambly script. Whew, man. I'm getting all worked up again just thinking about it. So, long story short, too late. Short story long. That part's hard. But try to get through it because there's a lot of great information there if you can make it through. So, I'm going to end this rant and go take some blood pressure medicine. Man, Total Recall by Manuel Llasser, 4.5 star stone status of gem. Now it's time for you to like this video, subscribe to my channel, and listen to the random iTunes song of the moment, which is, oh yeah, Skillet, What I Believe. Calming lemon water will soothe me. I love Skillet. This is from, I think it's their latest album. It's called Rise, and the song is What I Believe. Very, very cool stuff. All right, guys, that's it for today. Tune in tomorrow, day 65, where we've got an unboxing. We got a big unboxing. So that's tomorrow. Tune in for that. Thanks for watching. See you then. Peace out.